Hi and welcome friends from around the world. If this is your first time here, we're honored to have you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The war saw Iranian fighters showing real courage. Both sides were exhausted, and despite being worn down, they kept fighting hard. Things could start up again at any moment, who knows? As you may know, Iran violated the ceasefire to some extent. There were 52 jets involved, and I told Israel, you better turn back. And sure enough, they did. That was incredible. Meanwhile, Russia believes the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, is being hypocritical about Iran during this latest Israeli-American assault on Iranian nuclear facilities. According to Israeli assessments, the damage evaluation could take months, maybe even be impossible. That might further fuel President Biden's anger. U.S. intelligence says Iran's nuclear program wasn't seriously affected by the American strikes. Netanyahu, on the other hand, is claiming there's a secret nuclear reactor in Iran they didn't even know about. Trump shocked Netanyahu, saying, "Our mission is over, we won't help you anymore." Tel Aviv has announced it's committed to a ceasefire, using the truce to restock its Iron Dome missile defense system. At the same time, Iran revealed a new nuclear site that's even more advanced than Fordow. Iran's air defenses shot down an Israeli drone, and Tel Aviv responded by taking down 2 Iranian drones. So, is the ceasefire really going to hold? The Houthis say, the war is not over for us, and they're continuing their attacks on Tel Aviv. Israel's defense minister announced a new front is opening in Yemen. Washington admits the Houthis have become a serious problem for the United States, despite the ceasefire and ongoing negotiations to reach a truce in Gaza, talks that are reportedly overseen by Trump. Meanwhile, Netanyahu's government is on the brink of collapse, even as Israeli officials meet with Syrians and talk about normalizing ties with Syria and Lebanon. Over in the United Kingdom, Britain is accusing China of spying and interfering in its domestic affairs. The war shows no sign of stopping. A major scandal is looming for the blonde old man, Trump, who still hasn't celebrated the results of his strike on Iran's nuclear facilities. He keeps trying to prove it was a success, but the facts and numbers tell a different story. CNN reports that President Trump claimed the United States completely destroyed Iran's nuclear site and emphasized he's not trying to change Iran's regime, just stabilize the region. He even said he's ready to resume nuclear talks. Netanyahu, on the other hand, called the strike a historic victory, claiming that the Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordow facilities were destroyed, along with several nuclear scientists and top IRGC figures. Iran's president, meanwhile, said the war ended on Iran's terms and praised what he called a great victory for the Iranian people. But there's a lot of conflicting intel. CNN says Iran's nuclear program wasn't fully destroyed, just delayed for a few months. The White House insists the strikes were precise and successful. Iran's Qatam al-Anbiya base warned that any future attacks would be met with a stronger response, and that Iran will demand compensation at the United Nations. United States Defense Secretary Pete Casey dismissed CNN's report as stupid and false, claiming American bombs hit their targets with precision. Trump slammed media outlets that doubted his statements, calling CNN reporters filthy and scum. But according to leaked U.S. intel obtained by Reuters and reported by Israeli media, most of Iran's centrifuges weren't damaged, and their uranium stockpile is still mostly intact. CNN added that the depth of Iran's Isfahan facility made it impossible to destroy, even with America's powerful GBU-57 bunker buster bombs. So the U.S. resorted to Tomahawk missiles to hit just the surface. Channel 14 in Israel, citing U.S. intelligence, also reported that Iran has a secret nuclear facility that wasn't targeted simply because it's not fully known, meaning Iran may still retain part of its nuclear capabilities. There are even claims that smuggled uranium may now be stored there, along with Russian scientists. Politically, former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert said Tel Aviv successfully dragged the U.S. into attacking Iran, and called the operation a great success, with the goal being to stop Iran from becoming a nuclear power. In a striking development, Israeli Channel 2 reported that Trump told Netanyahu he's not interested in getting involved militarily if another conflict breaks out with Iran, and that his last strike nearly cost him his Gulf allies. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz confirmed the ceasefire will hold as long as Tehran sticks to it, something he said during a call with his American counterpart. Israeli media reported that the truce gives Tel Aviv time to replenish its interceptor missiles, which were heavily depleted during the war. Inside Iran, Vice President Mohammad Reza Aref announced plans to rebuild areas damaged by the attacks. Parliament Speaker Mohammad Khalibaf said Iran shattered the Iron Dome myth and crushed the enemy, and warned that Iran is ready to respond immediately to any future aggression. In a dramatic revelation, Mohammad Islami, head of Iran's atomic energy organization, said a new uranium enrichment site named Karkas is nearly operational, making it Iran's third major nuclear facility after Natanz and Fordow. He added that the site will begin operations at the right time and is heavily fortified, located at 3 levels underground, between 130 and 220 meters deep, making it even more secure than Fordow. Drones were shot down over the northern Iranian city of Rasht. Meanwhile, the Israeli army confirmed that it intercepted 2 drones launched from Iran toward Tel Aviv. Both were taken down outside Israeli airspace. On the other side, Israeli army radio revealed that the Houthi movement, also known as Ansar Allah, didn't escalate their actions during the recent conflict with Tel Aviv. They only launched 2 missiles, while Iran fired over 500 ballistic missiles and more than 1,000 drones in what's being described as one of the largest military strikes in the history of the conflict between the two sides. From the burning Iranian-Israeli front, we shift now to Yemen, where things are also heating up. While the war may have ended in Iran, it's clearly not over for the Houthis. The Houthi movement announced that it will continue and escalate its military operations against Tel Aviv until the aggression on Gaza stops and the blockade is lifted. They say these attacks are both a national and religious duty, according to a report by Reuters. In response, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz stated that Israel would deal with Sana'a the same way it dealt with Tehran. He's ordered the Israeli army to prepare an operational plan to confront the Houthis in Yemen. He added that the Houthi movement is operating independently and doesn't rely on outside support, according to Yedioth Aharonoth. Meanwhile, the head of the U.S. Joint Chiefs and Central Command said the Houthis pose a serious threat to the United States and predicted that the threat from Yemen will continue, even though the two sides reached an agreement just last month. Shifting from the Yemen-Israel front to developments in Palestine, Israeli journalist Roy Kais reported that negotiations between the Palestinian movement and Tel Aviv have made about 85% progress. The Palestinian side has shown real willingness to end the war, and they're now waiting for an official Israeli delegation to arrive and make the final decision. In that same context, U.S. President Donald Trump said there's a deal on the table and urged the Palestinian movement to accept it. Mediation efforts are being led by Palestinian-American businessman Bashar Baba, who's currently in Cairo, working to coordinate between Trump's team and the Palestinian side, according to Kais. On the Israeli political front, former Prime Minister Ehud Olmert called for an end to the war in Gaza, saying most Israelis support this. He stressed the need to form a joint administration for Gaza that excludes the Palestinian movement and called for the return of Israeli captives. Olmert also urged President Trump to pressure Netanyahu to stop the military operations, saying, "I appeal to President Trump to tell Netanyahu, enough." He warned that Netanyahu's current government would collapse if early elections were held, expressing confidence that the opposition would win, based on recent Israeli polls. Olmert also criticized the statements of far-right ministers Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is National Security Minister, and Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister, calling them irresponsible and unrepresentative of the general Israeli public. From its side, the UN Human Rights Commission warned of a catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza, stating that people there are facing an inhuman choice: starve to death or get killed trying to find food. Arab mediators believe the momentum from the Iran-Israel ceasefire could be used to push toward a deal in Gaza, amid growing international pressure to end the crisis. Switching to the Israel-Syria file, Israel's national security advisor said in a media interview that Tel Aviv is holding direct and daily talks with Syrian officials. He said these talks, which he's personally leading, cover both political and security matters. According to him, both Syria and Lebanon are potential candidates for normalizing relations with Israel, given recent regional shifts and diplomatic openings. Back in the United States, the House of Representatives voted down a resolution introduced by Democratic Representative Al Green to impeach President Donald Trump, who was accused of abusing his presidential powers. The vote showed clear support from the Republican majority for Trump, especially in light of growing global tensions. In another separate development, Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene sparked controversy by saying that a great American president, beloved by the people, opposed Israel's nuclear program and then was assassinated. She was referring to President John F. Kennedy in what many analysts saw as a politically sensitive and suggestive remark. On the international stage, Britain accused China of spying and interfering in its democratic and economic affairs. In response, the United Kingdom announced it was allocating $818 million to strengthen its intelligence and national security capabilities in the face of rising threats. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate your time. Please support us by subscribing to the S News channel, liking the video, and leaving your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned for